You know how AI has been like, well, exploding everywhere, right? Well, we're going even deeper today to the question, is AI's progress like hitting a wall? I mean, there's so much hype, so much investment, but there are these whispers, right, about a possible slowdown. And
Yeah.
we've been seeing it. Companies like OpenAI, they've been pushing the limits, no doubt. But they've also kind of scaled back some of those really ambitious predictions they made. And Google's Gemini,
Yeah.
huge, right? One of the most advanced models out there. But it hasn't really quite lived up to the hype, has it?
Yeah, it really hasn't. It's interesting because everyone was kind of holding their breath, waiting for this, the next big thing. And
Mhm.
it didn't quite, hit the mark.
Right. So today we're doing a deep dive. We're going to sift through the research, look at all the expert opinions, and see if we can, understand this for you. Is this just like a bump in the road, or is this a sign that things are, changing? Like, is the whole AI landscape shifting?
Well, it all really starts with what has been, I don't know, maybe the religion of Silicon Valley for a while. Scaling laws. The idea that basically bigger models trained on more and more data will inevitably lead to, well, smarter AI, right? More capable AI.
So it's just like throw
Well,
more data at it and it gets smarter, like some kind of, I don't know, magic recipe.
yeah, exactly. But now, even some of the biggest people, right, who are pushing for these scaling laws, they're starting to kind of hedge their bets a little bit. Ilya Sutskever, co-founder of OpenAI, a leading AI researcher. I mean, the guy's brilliant. He still says, scaling laws are strong, they're real, there's no wall. But it's interesting. Even Sam Altman, right, OpenAI CEO, he's been hinting that the gains, well, they might not, continue at that same crazy, exponential rate we've seen.
So it's not as simple as just bigger is better.
Yeah, it's really not.
It's like AI isn't immune to
Right.
diminishing returns. Like, remember video game graphics? The Nintendo 64 came out and it was like, whoa, a whole new world. But now it feels like the upgrades are like smaller, right?
Yeah.
More incremental.
That's a great analogy. And if just making models bigger, if that's hitting a limit, then the future of AI might depend on, finding more clever solutions.
Okay, yeah. I'm starting to see why this is such a big deal. So if bigger isn't always better, then where do we go? What's next?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. A lot of the skepticism about scaling laws is tied to another potential problem.
Yeah.
The data itself. There's only so much high quality information out there to train these, giant models on.
So it's like we're running out of good study material.
Yeah, in a way. And that's led to some companies experimenting with synthetic data. Basically, AI-generated data used to train, other AI models.
Wait, so instead of like real world information, we're feeding AI stuff that another AI made up. Doesn't that seem kind of, I don't know, artificial?
It's definitely a valid concern.
Like, are we creating an echo chamber?
Yeah. The risk is what we call, garbage in, garbage out. If you train a model on bad or low quality data, well, you're going to get low quality results.
And has that happened? Like, are there any examples of that?
Well, there have been some, red flags. One report said that Google, they found a lot of duplicate data in the sets they used to train Gemini.
So we're hitting a wall with scaling, maybe. We have this data dilemma. What does this all mean for the future of AI? Like, are we headed for a plateau?
Not necessarily. This could be, the push we need to shift focus instead of just more data. Maybe the emphasis should be on data quality and finding better ways to use what we already have. This limitation on scaling, it leads to another challenge and maybe an opportunity.
Okay, so it's not just how much data, but how we use it.
Exactly. And that brings us to what's called post-training or inference. Companies like OpenAI are realizing that they can keep refining these models even after they've been released. Like fine-tuning a race car, you're not changing the engine, but you're making adjustments, to get peak performance.
So it's like tweaking the AI after it's built to make it smarter, more efficient.
Exactly. And a really interesting example of this is OpenAI's Strawberry model.
Strawberry, that's a weird name for an AI.
Well, the focus here isn't on making it bigger or feeding it more data. It's about improving its reasoning abilities. Imagine an AI that can actually think before it answers.
Wow, so instead of just like programmed responses, it's actually thinking things through.
Yeah, that's the idea. It suggests a shift, maybe away from this idea of general intelligence and towards, more specialized AI. AI that's really good at specific things.
Okay, so smarter data use, post-training refinements. But I know what you're thinking out there. This is cool, but what does it mean for me? What are the real world things we can do with AI?
Well, this is where it gets exciting. The possibilities are huge. And we're already seeing companies do amazing things. OpenAI, for instance. They're getting into the search business, right?
Mhm.
Imagine how that could change how we find information.
And Anthropic, they've made this tool that can like analyze your computer screen.
Yeah.
And then actually do things based on what it sees.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And the potential of these, AI agents is incredible. Think about it. A personalized AI assistant
Yeah.
that learns your, investment stock and manages your portfolio.
While you sleep.
That's wild. I've been using Google's Notebook LM. It's for like note-taking. And it's been a game changer. It's not just recording information. It's helping me actually understand it.
And these are just a few examples. As this field keeps growing, we're going to see even more, innovative and user-friendly AI applications. But we can't forget about the real-world stuff, right? We're talking about huge investments, company valuations going crazy, and,
The entire future of AI development.
Right. And one of the biggest examples is NVIDIA, right? Their valuation has been, like, skyrocketing. They've become the go-to company for AI chips. But there's these concerns, right? Overvaluation, maybe demand for their chips is slowing down.
Yeah, it's interesting. Software stocks, they're doing better than semiconductor stocks in a way we haven't seen in years. And it makes you wonder, is the focus shifting from hardware to software innovation?
Yeah, it feels like we're moving past that initial, height phase
Yeah,
of just building bigger and faster AI. And now it's about what we can actually do with it.
that's definitely right.
So what about the people, right? How are people feeling about all this? Is everyone excited about this AI revolution?
Well, that's a crucial point. User sentiment, how the public feels,
Right.
has a huge impact on the direction of any technology.
Right.
And AI is no exception. We're seeing this really interesting mix, excitement, anxiety, maybe even a little fear, right?
Yeah, it's like a mixed bag. You've got people who are blown away by AI, like what it can do. ChatGPT, it's practically, a household name. It's hard not to be impressed by how fast these tools have become part of our lives.
Absolutely. But then there's also, a growing awareness of the potential downsides.
Yeah.
Job displacement, concerns about AI being used for,
Right.
malicious purposes. We've seen how algorithms can be biased. And the idea that AI could be used to spread misinformation or even, control people. It's pretty unsettling.
Yeah, it's uncharted territory, right? And then there's that whole debate about AI sentience, consciousness. Is it really possible that we're creating machines that could become self-aware? I mean, that used to be like pure science fiction. But now it's starting to feel a little closer to reality.
Yeah, it's mind-bending and all this buzz and debate. It's not just happening in, academic circles. It's actually having a real impact on how AI is being developed.
That's interesting. So how are developers reacting to all this?
Well, they're becoming much more sensitive to user feedback, ethical considerations. They're realizing that AI isn't just a technical challenge. It's also a social and philosophical one.
That makes sense. And this whole question of bias is huge, right? We talked about that earlier, but it's worth digging a little deeper.
Absolutely. And one of the most fascinating things is how AI is being developed differently in different parts of the world. In the West, there's a big emphasis on making AI safe and responsible.
Right, making sure AI doesn't say anything offensive or spread misinformation.
Exactly. But this often leads to, really strict guidelines, filters that can end up limiting AI's creativity and freedom of expression. It's almost like we're trying to put AI in a box, which, isn't necessarily a bad thing. But it does raise some interesting questions.
Are we sacrificing some of AI's potential in the name of safety?
That's one way to look at it. And then you contrast that with how AI is being developed in places like China. Their approach is quite different.
I've heard that Chinese AI models are less censored. Is that true?
Yeah. In China, the government has a much, tighter grip on information control. And that extends to AI. They're not as concerned with AI saying things that might be considered offensive or politically incorrect. So Chinese AI models are often allowed to be more freewheeling, which can lead to some unexpected, even controversial results.
Wow, that's a really stark contrast. So you've got these two different approaches, each with its own pros and cons. It makes you wonder, what kind of AI do we want? Do you want one that's super cautious and filtered, even if it means sacrificing some of its creativity? Or are we okay with a more unfiltered AI, even if it means taking on a bit more risk?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And there's no easy answer. It's all about finding the right balance between safety and innovation, control and freedom. And this is where user preferences come in.
Right, because ultimately, it's the users who will decide which AI tools succeed and which ones fail.
Exactly. People are becoming much more vocal about what they want from AI.
Yeah.
And companies are paying attention. They're realizing that if they want to create truly successful AI products, they need to align with user value.
I've noticed there's been a lot of pushback against AI being used for propaganda or censorship. People are wary of AI being used to control or manipulate them.
Absolutely. People want to feel like they're in control of their own technology, right? Not the other way around. They want AI to be a tool for empowerment, not for control.
And that brings us back to the quest for the killer app. We've talked about some amazing things AI can do, but it still feels like we're waiting for that. One application that truly revolutionizes how we live, work, and interact with the world.
It's a bit like the early days of the internet. We knew it had the potential to change everything, but it took some time for those truly transformative applications to emerge. Email, social media, e-commerce. It took a while for these things to really take off.
I see the parallel. We're at this stage with AI where we know it's powerful, but we're still figuring out how to harness that power in a way that truly benefits humanity.
Right, so I'm curious, what do you think the killer app for AI will be? Is it personalized medicine, tailored to your unique genetic makeup, hyper-realistic virtual worlds, or maybe something we haven't even imagined yet?
That's a tough one. I'm fascinated by AI's potential to unlock new levels of creativity. Imagine AI tools that can help us write symphonies, design incredible architecture, choreograph breathtaking dances. It's mind-blowing to think that AI could become a partner in creative endeavors, pushing the boundaries of human expression.
That's a really compelling vision, and it speaks to the idea that AI doesn't have to replace human creativity. It can actually enhance it. It can give us tools and insights we wouldn't have access to otherwise.
Right, it's about collaboration, not replacement. But of course, with any powerful technology, there's always the potential for misuse. As we develop these increasingly sophisticated AI systems, we need to proceed thoughtfully, ethically.
One of the sources we looked at highlighted the importance of intuition and human judgment in AI development. Even with all the advancements in machine learning and data processing, we still need human insight and oversight to ensure that AI is used for good.
That's a good point. It's easy to get caught up in all the, technical stuff. But ultimately, AI is a reflection of us, of our values and aspirations.
Exactly. And the future of AI, it isn't predetermined. We're actively shaping it with every choice we make, with every line of code we write, and with every conversation we have about the role we want AI to play in our lives.
It's like we're at this, crucial juncture where the decisions we make today will have a ripple effect for years to come. So as we move towards the final part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with this question. What kind of future do you want to build with AI? What are your hopes, your fears, and your vision for how this technology will shape the world we live in?